Our brain is so trained to what could go wrong, and we never think about what could go right. Would you want to be the same person you were 5 years ago? All of the bad phases in our lives past. If we stay in a situation where we're not supposed to be, we are gonna be forced to be miserable by the universe or whatever you believe in into another direction. We fear what we don't know. Hey guys, so today I want to talk about change, and which better season to talk about change than fall. Nothing is prettier than when the leaves are changing their colors. I think most people don't like change, but at some point in our life we cannot avoid some sort of change. So why is change so important? I think about it in a way where, for example, if you're traveling somewhere and you really like it, you really enjoy it, you know, the hotel is amazing, you really like the city, and then you want to go to the same city, to the same hotel every time when you go on vacation. There is nothing wrong with it, but I always think about all the places I wouldn't have gone to if I would always go to the same place. Imagine all the things you never see if you always do the same things. If you never try anything new in your life, you will never know how many good things are out there. I mean, I'm also someone, like, I eat the same things all the time and I'm not really someone who tries new things, let's be real. But when I try something new and I really like it, it's like the best feeling ever, because it's like, oh my gosh, where has this been in my entire life? And then you become completely obsessive about it. Also, I think it's very boring if you do the same things all the time. I personally get super bored of my routines, and I always thought I'm super stuck in my routines, like I cannot change anything about it, but now I realize I can. For example, the time, I don't know why I always say the gym, but the time you're going to the gym, okay? For a time I went at 7 a.m. and then I went more like 9 a.m. and now I'm going at 6 a.m., which is something completely new for me because I've never done that before. Honestly, I'm really enjoying it. I really like it, and I was always like, oh my gosh, how can you be at the gym at 6 a.m? It's absolutely crazy. But now that I do it, I absolutely love it, and I love that I tried it. And there are so many things that you can try. You can try new recipes, you can try new food like I mentioned before, but you can also switch things up in your routine. For example, I religiously used to fake tan on a Sunday, and this is just ridiculous, but you know, Sunday would come around and I would be like, oh my gosh, it's fake tanning day, and I would always be so annoyed by it. Of course you have to do it on another day, but I think it has a little bit of a different feeling if you do it on another day. And maybe you have things in your daily routine that are completely boring you. I don't know, maybe you've been making your coffee the same way, maybe you walk your dog every day the same way, or there are so many things that we do on a daily basis and we think we cannot change them. I mean, sometimes we probably won't be able to change them, but a lot of times we can. Change is also very important to grow. I mean, if you think about it, would you want to be the same person you were 5 years ago? I do not want to be the person I was 5 years ago because I feel like I've grown a lot. I think difficult times are especially where a lot of change happens. What I always really liked about, you know, going through hard times, difficult times, is there's this one lyrics that, I mean, the song is not about it. It's like Wildest Dreams by Taylor Swift, but she sings Nothing Lasts Forever, and I know it's in a completely different way than I use it for myself on a daily basis, but for me, the Nothing Lasts Forever is all the bad times you've ever had, and I'm sure every one of us has experienced bad times. All of the bad phases in our lives past, because nothing lasts forever. It is simple, but it is so beautiful, because when you're going through hard times, you can always be like, nothing lasts forever. It's not gonna be like this forever. It's gonna pass like everything else has passed. There is so much peace in knowing that things do get better, and they always do, let's be real. Also, in the theme of nothing lasts forever, what I also always think is certain phases in our lives, we sometimes take them for granted, but also with these phases, nothing lasts forever. For example, if you live at home with your parents, and I mean, in my example, I personally did like living at home, so thank God that didn't last forever. But maybe you have some issues with your parents, but you do like living at home. It won't last forever. There will be a day where you move out and you probably won't move back in, and then you're gonna miss, I don't know, talking to your mom in the evening, having home-cooked meals, and there's gonna be a day where you won't be at school. Maybe you're gonna miss it, maybe not. I personally don't. But still, it's a phase in your life that it won't last forever. You won't have it forever. And I was also thinking this with every phase that I had in my life, and it doesn't even have to be such a big thing. It's just maybe like for this winter. Maybe you also struggle through winter. I personally do. Once it gets dark, I do struggle a lot. I always tell myself this year I'm not gonna struggle. Why would the dark affect me? Why would the weather affect me? But it does every time, okay? But the important thing is it doesn't last forever. There's gonna be sunshine again, there's gonna be better feelings, and I think there's nothing better than when spring hits and the sun comes out again and it's getting warmer again and you feel alive again. I'm wondering, maybe we do like spring so much because of that. Like, would we like spring and summer that much? Or maybe for you it's the other way around. I love fall and spring. Just to get personal, I love fall and spring. I'm not the biggest summer person. It's so hot and it's so annoying sometimes. But I'm also not the biggest winter. I like summer and winter for a short period of time. I wish we could have like a super hot month, you know, to go outside or all the fun activities, and then have a super cold where you can cuddle. But that's out of topic. So what I wanted to say is embrace the seasons in your life, because no matter which season you're in, maybe you're currently living on your own and you want a relationship so bad and children, whatever, you will have it one day. So enjoy what you have right now. I know sometimes it's very hard, but that's what I always think about myself, because I also definitely have other career goals than what I'm doing right now. But nothing lasts forever, so I'm trying to enjoy what I'm doing right now and hope that it will get better in the future, definitely. But change is also very scary. I know, because I recently finished law school. It was scary to finish your academic life. I mean, I have been in my academic, what is it called, career for 25 years. I mean, I was in school and then I went to law school and then I was 25 when I graduated. It was scary to not know what's coming after, what I'm gonna do afterwards, and this is a huge change. And I also remember when I graduated from school, this even freaked me out more, because I was like, oh my gosh, my entire life I was at school and I don't know anything else than school, you know? And what I said in the beginning, we fear what we don't know. Life's always changing and we cannot stop it from happening. So the first thing I like to do if something really bothers me and scares me, I like to write it down. I know sometimes it's like, but I can think it, but writing it down makes it so much better. And I also read, like, there's this law where it says if you write down a problem, it halves, just like the manifestation law, the law of assumption. Sometimes it's really hard to find the core, so maybe ask yourself questions. Like, for example, let's say you're finishing school. What are you afraid of when you're finishing school? Do you not know what to study next? Do you not know if you're gonna get a job? Are you scared of being unemployed? Are you scared of moving out from home? Are you scared of maybe losing your friends or stuff like that? Make a worst case scenario and think about what is really frightening you that much. I would say most times when I write out things, I usually type it on my notes on my laptop. I do feel better. It doesn't change anything, obviously, but having it written out, it clears your head in a way I cannot explain. And also talking about it with someone really helps to have it out of your head. It's sometimes really nice to share the fears with someone else, just to say it out loud, not necessarily getting any advice on it, but just to say what you're afraid of. I started my first job like 3 weeks ago and I was also very scared of, am I gonna like it? Are my colleagues gonna be nice? Am I gonna be good enough? Like, am I gonna understand everything? Am I gonna be able to do the things I'm supposed to do? Am I gonna have enough time for everything? That was one of my biggest fears, pretty much. And I think what's also very important is to just let it happen and not stress so much about it, because you don't know how it's gonna be. So, you know, stressing about it now, it's a waste of time. I mean, we all know it and we still do it. I know I'm the same. But sometimes I was like, you know, when I was stressing out about not having enough time, I was like, okay, I didn't even start working yet. I mean, it bothered me, but I was like, okay, I need to focus my thoughts on something else. And then I'm gonna figure it out once I'm gonna start work. I mean, now you wrote down the worst possible scenario, but our brain is so trained to go to the bad parts, to what could go wrong, and we never think about what could go right, you know? I mean, why do I think about all the negative things? I could also be like, oh my gosh, what if I meet my best friend at work? You know, starting a job, maybe I'm gonna meet my best friend. Maybe I'm gonna have completely new life-changing experiences. You will get maybe more money so you can buy things that you love. You can apply this to a lot of situations in your life. There can be so many amazing things happening, and we only always think about the negative stuff. We're all trained like this, but we have the power to change and control our thoughts, which is amazing. With also being afraid of change, I think sometimes we can feel that we need a change in our life. When I was in law school, sometimes I was worried that I would miss law school, but now in the last months of law school, I was really done with it. I knew I needed a change, whatever that would be. Also, now that I took summer off and did more social media like YouTube and a little bit of TikTok and stuff like that, went on vacation, I don't know, I just had fun. I also realized it was kind of boring after a while, because I was doing the same all the time and I didn't really have a purpose. And after a while I was like, and I was terrified of starting work, okay, terrified, because of my dog being home alone and me not being able to work out. And I was just like, oh my gosh, for me these are pretty much the worst thing. Also YouTube, I was super scared, and even though I was so terrified, I was still like, but I need a change. I need something new. And I also know I'm not gonna do it forever, so I'm gonna try to embrace it as long as it lasts. The more you listen to your inner gut and inner feelings, I feel like the better you will go through your life, and we can feel if we need a change. And I also very much believe if we stay in a situation where we're not supposed to be, we are gonna be forced to be miserable by the universe or whatever you believe in, and we're gonna be forced into another direction. You can believe whatever you want. I do personally very much believe in that. Maybe you're very unhappy with your life. I don't know, maybe you want to exercise more, you want to lose weight, you want to have a different career, and you're very unhappy and you really want to change your life, but you're still not changing anything. It's still scary, even though it's better for us. I think sometimes we just stay in our self-sabotaging habits because we're people of comfort and people of habit. So if we have been miserable our entire lives, we want to continue to be miserable, and it's scary to better our lives. And I don't want to go into more detail because this is not what I wanted to talk about in this video, but if you're interested in this topic, I'm gonna go do another video on it, or you can read the book The Mountain Is You, which is about self-sabotage. This really opened my eyes because I think this book is written about me. Now I want to say 3 things that help me when I'm very anxious. By the way, I have this from a book, not exactly this, but some things that I implement, especially with anxiety, I have from the book, I think it's called Baddest Ways to End Anxiety Attacks or something like this. I'm gonna pop it on the screen. The first thing is I worry once it's here. And I know it's easier said than done. I sometimes want to freak out about something that is in the future that might possibly could happen, and I start freaking out. And then I'm like, it doesn't matter how much I worry about it. No amount of worrying is gonna change if it's gonna happen or not. The only thing I can do for my peace of mind is to forget it, think about something else, and once it's here, I can still worry about it, but it hasn't even happened yet, and it probably never will. So what's the point of worrying now and ruining the moment right now? And I know this is a huge struggle with anxiety, so easier said than done, but I think sometimes it really helps me when I get into my spiral. I stop myself and I'm like, nope, we don't know if that's gonna happen, we don't know, so we're gonna stop thinking about it right now, and we worry once it's here. Second thing is think of a positive outcome instead of a negative one, which I also touched on earlier, but it is very true because for every situation in my life, I always think about the worst possible outcome. For example, if you say, oh my gosh, I'm so scared that I'm gonna fail this exam, and you start worrying about it excessively, what if you start saying, but what if I'm gonna pass it? I'm pretty sure, I know I'm gonna pass it. We think always about what could go wrong instead of what could go right. Yeah, I know it's super cheesy and everyone says this, but everything happens for a reason, and let me explain it. Think about all the things in your life where you thought that something went wrong and then you were glad that it happened the way it happened. This happens to me so many times, and it made me to force my life less, to not try and control everything. You cannot control most of the things in your life. Try to focus on the things that you can control, like your thoughts, for example. You cannot control how other people treat you, but you can control which people you have in your life. If you let life flow, you will notice how much easier things are happening. And now if something goes wrong or something doesn't go the way I wanted it to go, I'm like, maybe there was a reason behind it. Nothing that's meant for you is gonna pass you. I really, really, really believe in that. If you don't, that's up to you, but I personally do. So I'm always like, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I obviously do worry about it also a lot, but I always think to myself, I am where I'm meant to be. Everything's gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen. I cannot change it by worrying and freaking out and whatever. So I let life flow more easily, and I try to not force anything. If you ever try to force anything very, very hard, you will notice that it's not gonna happen the way you wanted to force it, the way you want to force. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen the way you want it to be. I hope this helped in any way. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!